Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and now that we have had the official release of the new Tacoma, this gives us a pretty good idea of what the new 4Runner is going to look like, and we're going to talk about that in today's video. Before we get into this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And then if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Let's get into it. So if you watch automotive YouTube, then you know that Toyota has officially announced the new Tacoma that will go on sale later this year with the standard powertrain, and then the hybrid models will be available at the beginning of next year. And this new Tacoma and the specs that this new Tacoma has basically confirm a lot for us when it comes to the new 4Runner. And let's start off with styling. So just like we guessed, just like we heard from our insiders at Toyota, the new Tacoma has styling that is not the same as the new Tundra, but it's very similar. And I'll try to, have some photos up in this video of, some style points on the new Tacoma. But I mean, you look at the front end, obviously, it's kind of, miniaturized compared to the Tundra, but very similar. Now, one thing that is really cool about the Tacoma is that the front end doesn't have a massive grille like the Tundra. They've definitely shrunk that down. I guess that Toyota has kind of learned from what people have said about the Tundra, and they decided to go with smaller grills. But I mean, you look at, the taillights especially, I mean, those are basically like miniature Tundra taillights, and just the overall shape with the fenders and the fender flares and everything, again, it's very reminiscent of the Tundra. And so now we can carry this over into the 4Runner because, again, you look at the Tundra and the Sequoia looks just like the Tundra but in SUV format. This means that the 4Runner is going to look super similar to this Tacoma, but just SUV format. So shorter wheelbase, right? A little bit smaller overall vehicle, but it'll basically have, similar style cues and everything, which I don't think is a bad thing because I think this new Tacoma looks great on the outside. And then similar theme with the interior. The interior on the new Tacoma, I think, again, it obviously carries a lot of things from the Tundra, but I think they did a really good job with it. The one thing that I will mention, though, is because this has the same interior as the Tundra, it'll have a lot of the same plastic touch points as the Tundra. So some of you are going to like that because you're like, hey, plastic lasts forever, but some of you are going to be like, want something a little bit more high quality feeling. Regardless, in TRD Pro guys, it looks really good. And again, if we look at what they've done with Tundra and Sequoia, where everything's just pretty much a straight carryover, this is going to be the interior on the new 4Runner. So if you like this interior with the big digital gauge cluster, with the big tablet infotainment system, plopped onto the dash, then you'll like the new 4Runner interior. And of course, in the TRD Pro model, it has Toyota there on the dash, which is another cool touch with the truck. But the main reason why I wanted to make this video was to talk about some of the performance specs and some of the packages as well, and two packages to be specific. So let's start with the packages first. There is obviously going to be a TRD Pro model available at the Tacoma, and this will also be available with the new 4Runner. But the one that is kind of up in the air that I hope they do on the 4Runner is that Trail Hunter package. So the TRD Pro is supposed to be like your high-speed, all-around, just crazy off-roader. That's why it has Fox shocks. It's got those new seats where the seats actually have like shocks in them, which is super weird. We'll see kind of how people receive those once they get to live with them and everything. But regardless of that, the Trail Hunter package that you can get is going to be more of like an overlanding package. It's got old EMU suspension, and it's just more of your kind of, again, slow speed driver. And so it'll be interesting to see if they bring that over to the 4Runner, but I think that they're pretty much going to have all the same packages available in the 4Runner as what they have in the Tacoma. So again, that also gives us insight on that side of things. Now, when it comes to some other, mechanical stuff, the new Tacoma actually has two different sets of suspension. So the higher end packages have coil suspension, whereas the lower end packages have leaf springs. Now, I don't think this is going to be the same for the 4Runner because it doesn't make sense to put leaf springs on the 4Runner. So the 4Runner is just going to have the coil suspension, but we'll still have a solid rear axle because the Tacoma has a solid rear axle. So again, we have an insight into the suspension. And then finally, the most important part is going to be engine transmission setup. So the Tacoma has a base power output setup with the 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. That is right. 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, 228 horsepower. Now, this is just in the entry-level packages. I don't think this is going to be available in the 4Runner because this is supposed to just be like a work truck setup. And with the 4Runner being a sport utility vehicle, they obviously will have baseline packages, but probably won't have the baseline power output. And that means that you'll also most likely not have a manual transmission available in the 4Runner. We'll see what happens, but I doubt that we'll have a manual, at least here in the US. Now you've got the higher output version, which is 278 horsepower, 317 for the torque, and this is what you'll see in most vehicles, and I think this is going to be the standard output for the 4Runner still. Again, 2.4 liter 4-cylinder 8-speed automatic transmission. So that's exactly what we, assumed would happen, because this is the powertrain that is in the Lexus NX. Now, the thing that is crazier than what I thought would happen is the hybrid. So the hybrid is the 2.4 liter 4-cylinder paired to a 6-speed automatic, and then it has an electric motor and it has a small battery. 326 horsepower and then 465 pound-feet of torque. I assumed the horsepower would be in the 300 range. I assumed the torque would also be in the 300 range, not 465 pound-feet. Absolutely insane. Now, like I said, with the Tacoma, this is going to be, available next year. So that means that the 4Runner that's coming out next year will be available with the regular turbo 4-cylinder probably sometime at the end of next year. And then in terms of the hybrid, so 2025 is when you'll be able to get a hybrid 4Runner. But this gives us insight into what the powertrains are going to look like for the 4Runner. And this is exactly what I've been saying for months on end, that the new 4Runner is not going to have a V6. It's going to have a turbocharged 4-cylinder and a turbocharged 4-cylinder hybrid. And since the Tacoma has those two powertrains, this all but confirms this for the 4Runner. So I want you guys to let me know your thoughts on the new Tacoma, obviously, because we have these specs on that, but also on the new 4Runner as well. Like, are you going to be open to this new 4Runner now that it's pretty much all but confirmed that it's going to have a turbocharged 4-cylinder or a turbocharged 4-cylinder with a hybrid? Or are you just going to try to get a current generation 4Runner while they are still available? I'll see ya.